Okay, guys, so it is Thursday, which means it's matchup preview time for the league. Big game tonight. The Chicago Bears here against the Green Bay Packers. I expect the Bears to stomp them, of course, and it's going to happen. The Bears are going to beat up on the Packers. They don't stand a chance. Let's dive in here and talk about our fantasy matchups this week. We're starting out with a Super Bowl rematch of the Fantasy Goat, your beloved commissioner, versus Legion of Zoom. What a stupid team name, just for the record. But regardless, piggybacking off of an actual team's nickname is silly, but whatever, fine. Senior has a ghastly lineup that's insanely overprojected. I'm talking Mahomes and Kelsey versus a Jags D that shut them down last time they played. I expect that to happen again. The Jags, just too much talent on the defensive side of the ball. The Chiefs can't handle it. Alshon Jeffrey is going to be on Norman Island with the Redskins, so I'm not at all concerned about Alshon. To be honest, I wouldn't be concerned about Alshon no matter who he was up against. He's not very good and hasn't been for a long time. David Johnson is awful, but so is Duke Johnson. So how in the world is Duke Johnson the RB2 for somebody? I mean, we haven't even hit bye weeks or injuries yet. How is this a thing? I don't know how this is happening. Keenan Allen, of course, sucks. Everybody knows Keenan Allen sucks. You can bank on him for like 1,100 yards and 5 or 6 touchdowns, but I mean, as your wide receiver 1, that's just sad. It's horrible. Most of the league has a better wide receiver 2 than what Keenan Allen's going to give you. On the plus side of things for Senior, Chris Carson is going to be an animal this week. He gets to play the atrocious Bengals, who I don't think have any fans. I mean, I don't think anybody even likes the Bengals. If there's somebody out there that likes the Bengals, I'm sorry for your life. I'll bet you're a huge crybaby that probably leaves fantasy leagues when things don't go your way because you're such a huge baby. That's just the kind of person that I would imagine a Bengals fan to be. But regardless, on to my team. Of course, Jameis Winston is going to crush the 49ers. He's going to go in there. He's going to steal their crab legs. Not going to be a problem at all. Dalvin Cook and Adam Thielen are both going to absolutely romp against a suspect Falcons defense at home in the Dome. Steph Diggs is banged up. It's going to be epic for Thielen and Cook. Evan Ingram, of course, is this year's George Kittle. And with that, I'd like to take a second to pause and thank Steve for gifting me Evan Ingram for the price of on the house, basically. Thank you, Steve. I appreciate you as always. Bears defense crushes the Packers tonight. You all knew that. My bold prediction, though, of this one. So I'm doing my bold predictions again this year, guys, and I'm going bold. I'm saying Leonard Fournette finishes as the RB1 this week with 200 yards and not 1, not 2, but 3 tutties, 3 touchdowns this week. Winner, the GOAT in a blowout. So matchup number 2, we have Bell Ertz My Ears versus Chubby Johnson. So we have Joe versus Tony Jr. It could be a great start for Tony Jr. He's got CMC and Mike Evans, who both look like top 5 plays this week. Kenny G's going to be playing some sweet jazz against that Cardinals depleted secondary. No Robert Alford, no Patrick Peterson. I'm expecting the entire Lions offense to just shred the Cardinals. The Baltimore D is the defensive play of the week against the Dolphins. I mean, the Dolphins, they're another team. Do they even have any fans? If they do, it's probably some guy that sits there and likes to bake cakes all day and, just sits there baking cakes without much else going on. I'll bet the guy probably works at FedEx or something too. So, yeah, I mean, Baltimore D, great play against the Dolphins. The downside for Tony's team, Bell is going to do absolutely nothing. He's not doing anything. He's playing the Bills. The Bills are really good defense. And Le'Veon Bell, we don't even know if he's actually good. I had a 3rd-round grade on him. A lot of people thought he was a steal for Tony in the 2nd. I think Tony's going to regret it starting this week. Now on to Joe. Joe has just rough matchups abound here. I'm talking Davante Adams at the Bears. That's tough. Nick Chubb against the Titans. That's tough. Carson Wentz against the Redskins is a deceptively bad matchup. Carry-on, however, is going to feast all over the rotting carcass of the Cardinals defense. And I think Dede Westbrook is better than people think. And also Kwame Fairbairn is the kicker play of the week. My bold prediction for this matchup is that Josh Jacobs, who is this year's Tony's plant the flag guy that he's just in love with irrationally for no reason, is going to be held to under 60 yards and no score in his NFL debut against the Broncos. The winner, though, is going to be Tony Jr. anyway, because I think Evans and McCaffrey are going to be too much to overcome in their matchups. Now, next matchup we have is Cake Magic versus Shake and Bake. So we got Jared versus Jason. Oh, the battle of the fans of the actual Dolphins and the Bengals. Wow, that's crazy. I didn't realize they had any fans. But regardless, I can't believe of all the offenses in the NFL, the only team that is getting 2 fantasy starting running backs in week 1 is the 49ers. So Jason and Jared, Matt Breida, Tevin Coleman, it just doesn't feel right that 2 Niners are being started in fantasy in week 1. Tyreek Hill, brutal matchup, best corner in the league, Jalen Ramsey. He's going to be shadowing him. I don't expect much, but Brandon Cooks should make up for it against a horrid Panthers secondary. Zeke on a play count, I don't expect much. Alvin Kamara will make up for it, though. Delaney Walker is absolutely unrosterable. You need to go find another tight end. That's embarrassing. It's just terrible. He's almost 40 years old now. He's part of the worst passing attack in the league. Come on, man. Gotta do better. On Jason's side of things, he's got Baker against a tough Titans defense. I don't expect a huge game, but Baker's going to do fine. He'll be okay. Michael Thomas negates Drew Brees for Jared, but it's going to be a shootout, I think. But, Brees primarily throws to Thomas. So Thomas is going to pretty much negate Brees. Saquon Barkley, of course, is going to put up numbers. Doesn't matter what the matchup is. That dude's just an absolute freak beast. Downside, though, Joe Mixon is going to do next to nothing at Seattle. That's going to be a game where Seattle's going to control it start to finish. It's going to be rough. He's the Josh Jacobs of Jason's team. My bold prediction in this matchup is that Matt Breida, yes, Matt Breida, is the highest scoring running back in this matchup. You heard me. Even with Barkley, Kamara, Zeke, Mixon, all of them, Breida's the guy that's going to outperform all of them this week. En route to Jared Cake Magic Salzman taking the W. Now, Carlito's Way versus I'm Back Bitches. So we have Reese versus Vetri. John's team would be amazing if this were PPR, but it's not, John. Julio Jones, not great in this format. If you're not getting the touchdowns, you don't have much value here. Look for Nuke to crush Julio. Aaron Jones is absolutely unplayable against the Bears. I'm thinking 40 yards, no score, and a lost fumble. I love Robert Woods this week and pretty much every week. Robert Woods he's pretty much matchup proof. He's just an awesome wide receiver. Deshaun Watson may be the QB1 this week. He very well could be. That Saints-Texans game has shootout written all over it, and the Texans don't really have a running back to speak of on their team. So look for Deshaun Watson to call his own number at the goal line if they get there. We've talked about this. David Johnson, he sucks. I'm not getting into it anymore. He's awful. Let's move on. to Reese, George Kittle may be the best tight end this side of Evan Ingram. Now, he's not Evan Ingram. He's not as good as Evan Ingram, but he is going to have a good week against the Bucs. Lamar Jackson is going to dominate the Dolphins. The only thing you have to worry about is, are they going to crush them so badly that he doesn't need to throw and the Ravens just run in all their touchdowns with their three-headed monster committee? James Conner against your own defense is kind of an odd choice. Don't love the Patriots D against the Steelers, but, it's not a deal breaker. Philip Lindsay sucks. I've been through this with you. He's not an actual good real-life running back, but he's fine for now because he gets to play the Raiders at home week 1. So look for a strong game from this highly overrated, terrible little running back. Now, my bold prediction for this one, I love me some Nuke Hopkins, and I'm going to predict Nuke dusts the Saints for 180 yards and 2 scores en route to Reese picking up the W. Victory, Reese. Final matchup in what the only way I can describe this has to be a toilet bowl, golden douche preview. Steve the Draft Dodger versus Brad Big League Chew. Let's address how quickly Brad's team has absolutely disintegrated and is falling apart. He's got Mark Ingram, who looked like a good option, looked like a great flex play, and all of a sudden, Mark Ingram's getting hot-handed with Gus Edwards, who averaged 5 yards a carry with Lamar Jackson, and Justice Hill, who's a younger, more explosive playmaker than Mark Ingram. It doesn't look good for Mark Ingram's prospects for this week or moving forward. I don't love Mark Ingram anymore. I was targeting him in the draft, and I'm really glad Brad drafted him right around now. Devonta Freeman at Minnesota is horrible. It's a terrible matchup. He's not going to do anything. If he finds his way into the end zone, you should be very pleased. Todd Gurley will get less than 18 touches a game. And you factor that in with him facing Luke Kuechly. That's just awful. Gurley's going to have a rough go. Certainly not going to return first-round value. I don't like Gurley at all. Amari Cooper is playing. Who cares? What we really care about is Antonio Brown is not playing. And he is looking like potentially the worst selection of the third round of our draft. You're likely going to be dealing with this AB drama all season. This guy is a loon. He's an absolute nut job. I don't know what you were thinking. This guy needs to be wearing floaties just to order soup at a restaurant. He's a dumbass, just absolute idiot. The good news for Brad's team, I do bad news, good news kind of format. The good news is you're not Steve. That's all I got for you for good news. Steve has Damian Williams, who is a committee back in a terrible matchup as his RB1. Not great. Marlon Mack is a terrible running back. He's a lot like Philip Lindsay, where he's just not actually a really good real-life running back. And now without Andrew Luck, and I think Mack goes back to being a full-blown committee, I don't like Marlon Mack at all for this entire season. Hate him. DJ Moore will do absolutely nothing as Aqib Talib is going to come in and steal his lunch money. Aqib Talib's going to bully DJ Moore. He doesn't stand a chance against him. Mason Crosby is unplayable in general, but especially this week at the Bears. I don't know why you want Mason Crosby, but I'd be looking to fix that. The only saving grace for Steve is he got Chris Godwin and O.J. Howard. They should do well against the Niners. Not as well as Juju, Ingram, and James White, but that's neither here nor there. Congratulations on getting a good first game, I suppose. And bold prediction here is that Josh Allen, yes, that Josh Allen, is a top 5 fantasy quarterback this week en route to dominating Steve's defense. Winner, Brad Big League Chew. And that is your matchup previews for this week. I will see you guys with the recaps next week. I'm super hyped. Have a great weekend of football.